Welcome to our monthly business webinar. Our speakers today, I'm very happy to introduce you. Michael McClune, the Senior Director Trades of the World Trade Center of Los Angeles and of the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. He's also the co-chair of Global Lava, the Los Angeles Venture Association. We welcome also Ben Troch, who is Client Manager Benelux at International Management Solution and a specialist in international taxation. And Sophie Boutelegier, who is the CEO of Expandify, specialized in welcoming foreign companies in the US. So to start, a quick Belwest updates. Most of you know already that we did launch in June as a Belgian-Luxembourg American Chamber of Commerce for the Western US, and we took over the Belgian Business Club activity that started in 2017 in Los Angeles. Our mission is to help our members grow their business. And in less than a year, we are the first Chamber of Commerce in the US, along with the Belgian American Chamber of the South based in Atlanta, to be recognized in October by an international federation, the Belgian-Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce Abroad, that is based in Brussels. That means for our members that we have deep connections with a lot of organizations around the world to help their business and connect them. We have also close relations with Belgian and Luxembourg local chambers. We work with all Belgian regions and Luxembourg and their trade commissioner and organization, FIT, AWEX, Hub Brussels, and Luxembourg Trade and Invest. You will hear in 2023 about our special interest groups that are building around in aerospace, gaming and entertainment, architecture and design, life science, immersive technologies, clean tech, food and beverage, etc. We do have monthly mixer events, and you will also see us at CES with events. Obviously, you can keep in touch with us through our newsletters, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and participate to our activities or become members. So there is a lot to come. And for now, our first topic today, California and Los Angeles are booming, opportunities and strategy for Belgian and Luxembourg entrepreneurs. Please join me in welcoming Michael McClune.
Thank you, Alain. Good to see you again. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about the opportunities in California, specifically Southern California, and even more specifically, Los Angeles. I just want to say that, as an anecdote, Alain and I not only share friends, we've been to weddings together. We've met each other at World Trade Center, Los Angeles events, even before I started working here. So even though we have 10 million people here in our market, our international trade community is very tight and very collaborative. So again, thanks for allowing me to share what we have here. So Alain, are you, okay. So I'm Michael McClune, Senior Director of International Trade at the World Trade Center, Los Angeles. We are an affiliate of the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation. That means we support all of the international companies that want to come here and establish an office and a presence, with everything from business assistance to workforce development to market research from our Institute of Applied Economics. We're also very active in the policy part of government, legislature, and commerce. So we always know what's going on and we can fight on your behalf. So next. So World Trade Center, our mission is very simple. We attract customers and clients and investors and companies and founders and owners from around the world. We love to do business with Northern Europe, Luxembourg and Belgium in particular. So this is one exercise in attracting. What we do is we educate how to do business here, how best to do business, how not to do business. And then when you have decided that you want to come here and operate, hire Angelinos, which is our mission, we connect you to the experts and our network, whether it be public sector, private sector, academia, et cetera. So, and community programs. So, and then once you're here, we're here to help you thrive. So we don't go anywhere. We're still here to help our international companies. So that's our industry clusters. The ones that we really have an appetite for Luxembourg and Belgium is advanced transportation, aerospace and defense, bioscience, digital media, and we are the largest manufacturing sector in the United States. So everything from advanced manufacturing to any manufacturing and anything with the blue economy. And then of course, trade and logistics is our number one industry sector. Most people think it's entertainment, and a lot of traffic, but aerospace and defense, trade and logistics, those are actually larger sectors than the entertainment of Hollywood. So next. So to give you an idea of the size, Southern California is a 1.6 trillion economy. And if I'm correct, I think that's the combination of Luxembourg and Belgium combined. So we're very much in line and partners in the size and scale and scope of what we do. It's the 13th largest economy in the world. Next, Alain. And then Los Angeles is the 18th. We would be tied with Mexico. So it's a pretty astonishing fact that Los Angeles, just the county itself, is tied with Mexico for economic development and GDP. So I haven't updated the slide. Everyone here is very excited that California has overtaken Germany as number 4th largest economy in the world, over $3 trillion GDP. Those are all approximate numbers, but you know, the idea here is California is booming, Los Angeles is booming. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity here, and if it weren't, we wouldn't be growing as much as we have. So next. So we have the population of about 10 million people. I think the most important part of this is the diversity of our population. So we do compete with other cities around the world, but we are a megalopolis, and we like to think that maybe we're on par with the Venice, Italy of the historical context, or Constantinople, because we are a Pacific Rim city. We're also the largest in the United States, the northern capital of Latin America, commercially speaking. So with all the global communications that we have at our fingertips, you know, we certainly see ourselves as a diverse and global city. We have 140 nationalities here, speaking 224 languages. So over a third of Angelinos are foreign born, and 55.8 of our percentage of our population speak a language other than English at home. So that gives you an idea of the diversity. So next. See the little red dot there? That's Los Angeles County. Our county here is bigger than all of those states in blue. That's the size of the population that we have here in our metropolitan area. And all those green counties were larger in our one county than all of those combined. Next. We also include the greater LA area with Ventura, San Bernardino, Riverside, and Orange County. A lot of cross-border collaboration there. Next. And we are an economic powerhouse. You know, there are markets like Boston, and you know, Boston is great. We love it. Good people, good economy, good innovation, but they're recognized for bioscience and biotechnology. We have a larger sector in biotech and life sciences than they do. It's just we are overshadowed with entertainment and advanced transportation. We have the largest port in the hemisphere. And I think what's really exciting about, you know, using the bioscience example is that if you're a biotech, life science company and you're here, you also have next door aerospace and defense, right? So you can cross collaborate. If you have an IoT or a wearable, you can send that into space because we all like to work together and we help connect. Same thing with advanced transportation, and we're the best storytellers in the world. So if you have a company, we can make that story here locally, right next door. Next. We have about 250,000 businesses here. Over 90% are small businesses. Next. So that'll tell you how collaborative we are and how innovative we are. We're not dominated by a big one, large multinational companies. Port of LA and Long Beach, that is the largest in the hemisphere. It creates about 1 million jobs, indirect and direct, right here. Between 30 and 40% of all goods coming into the United States come through Los Angeles. So that gives us an opportunity to keep it as an economic engine. But we also know that we don't have all of the solutions we need for something as critical. So we look to Luxembourg, we look to Belgium and our other international partners for leadership in blockchain. We need to verify, we need to secure, we need to track, we need to digitize. We don't have those solutions here. And it's from your countries and your markets and your innovators that we need to find these solutions. And we're very aggressive and have a large appetite for that. Next slide. We have a series of airports, also an economic engine. You want to do business here, you can come here direct and you can leave direct, and the rest of the world is certainly at your doorstep. Next. We have a startup culture, startup innovation. I just read the other day that Los Angeles is the #1 market in the United States for out-of-market capital. So we are attracting capital from Silicon Valley, from New York, from the other cities, and also from within. We have a tremendous startup ecosystem, and I think as importantly, a startup mindset for innovation, collaboration, and disruptive technologies. Next. Here are some of our high growth companies. You don't have to be a SpaceX, but we do have that. We do have Virgin Galactic. We do have the aerospace and defense sector. We have high tech, low tech, old school manufacturing, CPGs, you name it, they're all here and we all work together. Next. As far as I know, we're the only market in the US, perhaps the world, that has 3 universities in the top 20 in global rankings: UCLA, Caltech, and USC. We also have the JPL labs coming out of Pasadena, and with tremendous academic resources and infrastructure. And we have a great community college. I think we have 26 community colleges, and most of them are free to attend. And we graduate more engineers than anywhere else in the country. Next. We're also the sports entertainment capital of the world. So if we need high-tech solutions from abroad, we have a population and a consumption that we have 2 major sports teams in every major sports category. Football, American football, basketball, you name it. We also have the infrastructure as far as stadiums, right? We have the games, the Paralympic Games, with FIFA World Cup, and we have these continually coming in. We're on the global stage now with FIFA and the Olympics and all these others. So we need solutions, and we're actively looking for solutions from Luxembourg, from Belgian solutions for crowd control, for fan engagement, for advanced mobility of humans, advanced mobility of vehicles. And we know that we don't have those solutions. So come to Alain and come to me, and we can help you on your path here. Next. We spend a tremendous amount on public infrastructure because we have to, and we are very open to work with cities and municipalities and governments and even private sector who have the solutions, can help us serve our constituents and our Angelinos better and more efficiently. Next. So as you can imagine, we have a lot of foreign direct investment from abroad, about 11,000 companies, 400,000 jobs, paying $40 billion in wages. Next. And in Los Angeles here specifically, we have about 5,000 companies that are owned by foreign entities, right? So we have a lot of foreign direct investment. So I want to point here to number 4, the Netherlands, after Canada, Singapore, and China. I would like you guys to go look at that Benelux agreement and contract and idea. Maybe you guys can ride on the coattails of what the Dutch are doing. They have a tremendous pathway and platform to invest a lot of money and bring their solutions here, and we pay a lot of money to them and their businesses and their companies. So let's try to work together on that and bring the Benelux countries here. Next. So Luxembourg is our number 12 trading partner. You guys create over 13,000 jobs. Over 400 companies are here in California. If you look here in Los Angeles County, 3,300 jobs, over 100 companies owned by Luxembourgers, right? So 69% of those companies are here in Southern California. And of that 69%, 25% of those are here in Los Angeles. So you already have your friends and neighbors and family members here. Our job is to help support them and bring new ones. Next. So for Belgium, we also consider you guys a great trading partner. We'd like to get those numbers up to from the high 20s into the teens. So we have 128 Belgian companies here with over 3,000 jobs. And our job, again, is to help facilitate more of that. Next. So this is what we're looking at here in the future. It looks good. Of course, we do have inflation. That is an opportunity for some, but it is reality here, as you know, the rest of the world. So I'm not all puppies and rainbows. That is something that we're dealing with now. Next. However, everything is getting back to normal from pre-pandemic times. Our global supply chain and our wait times at the ports are almost back to normal. Next. Our monthly employment and unemployment are getting back to normal. Next. So those are pre-pandemic levels, unemployment. Next. I'll just skip over these because I know I want to give my colleagues some time. So, you know, again, our job here at World Trade Center is to attract and connect and educate, retain. We have 88 cities here in Los Angeles County. So there's Los Angeles County, which has about 4 million, and there are 87 other cities and 100 unincorporated areas in our region. I think we are, what, 12,000 kilometers wide. So we have a lot of area for a lot of business success. And the diversity of what we have here, I think, is our hallmark. So we lost 772,000 jobs in 2 months in the beginning of COVID. We've recovered about 90% of those, maybe a little more, but that still means we have about 700,000 so jobs to recover just to get back to where we were. And we know that the best way to do that is to work with folks like you to bring your innovative ideas and your solutions and your companies here. And we help you with the white glove and the red carpet, help you thrive. And then you can help us create those jobs, which is our ultimate mission. So last slide. That is a QR code to my LinkedIn. So please contact me there. My email address is not there, but you can contact me at LinkedIn, or it's michael.mclune@laedc.org. And we will help you connect with Global LA, which is a brand new initiative from the Mayor's Office and the Mayor's Office of International Affairs. The City of Los Angeles has its own deputy mayor. Yeah, I'll put the email in chat. So we have, City of Los Angeles has its own deputy mayor of international affairs, and her job is specifically to help you and to help us help you. And we're really set up for your success. So please contact Alain and I, and we're here to help you come here and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Yeah, that very interesting numbers in facts on the area. So that's a lot of things to keep in mind. Our second topic, business and international taxation. The US European key principle and a few new rules. So that's, please let me welcoming Ben Troch.
Yes, thank you, Alain. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So my name is Ben Troch from International Management Solutions, or IMS in short, and today I'm going to talk about some of the key US tax considerations for European companies that are doing business in the US. A short intro about IMS. We are a US accounting firm, and we mainly assist European companies that are expanding into the United States. So the main services that we provide is accounting, tax, and payroll. And I'm responsible for the Benelux region. I also lived in the US for a few years, but now I'm back based in Belgium. And next to IMS, we also have a sister company called IAS, which is a CPA firm that mainly assists with acquisitions, due diligence, and audits. So to start, when could you be exposed to US taxation if you're doing business in the US? The main thing is that there are mainly two levels of taxation in the US. You have the federal level and you have the state level. On the federal level, there is a tax treaty in place between Belgium, Luxembourg, and the US, and it provides some protection for a Belgian or a Luxembourg company that is doing business in the US. The main concept here is permanent establishment. The word says itself, there needs to be some kind of a fixed place of business in the US before the profits that are being made from the US business are taxable in the US. It's not really further defined in the tax treaty, but what is included in the treaty are typically some exceptions. So situations where the company is not subject to federal taxation, and I listed some of them here. One of the examples is, for example, if you do construction or installation in the US and that project is for less than a year, that doesn't create a permanent establishment in the US. Another example is if you have inventory in the US, just to deliver goods to US customers, that is also one of the situations that doesn't create a permanent establishment. And then the last one I listed is if you only do preparatory or auxiliary activities in the US, that also doesn't create a permanent establishment. So there are some exceptions foreseen in the treaty. What we typically recommend, for example, if you have an e-commerce business, you need to have inventory in the US to deliver your goods faster to US customers. What we recommend there is to file a protective return with the IRS. There are no numbers included, but it starts the statute of limitations. So there can only be an audit for 3 years if you file such a protective return, which is one of the main advantages. What we sometimes see, what could trigger taxation in the US on the federal level, is if you have person in the US that can conclude contracts on behalf of the Belgian company in the US. That could create a permanent establishment and so also taxation on the federal level. On the states, it's different. All the states, they are not part of the tax treaties with the US, so they each have their own rules to say when a company is subject to state taxation. And the typical factors that could create a taxable presence in a state is either physical presence, like you have employees or contractors that are doing some work in one of the states that could create a taxable presence. If you own inventory or other assets in a state, so on the federal level, it doesn't typically create tax implications, but on the state level, there could be some state tax implications. And also if you have some people going on site to provide, for example, installation or maintenance services, even if it's just for a few weeks, that could be enough to have state tax filings. And even if there is no physical presence at all in the US, there are some new rules regarding economic presence. So if you're selling direct from Belgium or Luxembourg to the US, if you exceed certain sales or transaction thresholds, you might also have state tax obligations in the US. And the typical threshold is 100,000 of sales or 200 transactions in a certain state on an annual basis. If you make more than that, then you could have a filing requirement in those states. Now, what does it mean if you have a taxable presence in a state? For corporate income tax, usually it's limited, and that's because the starting point for your state tax income, it's usually the federal taxable income. So for the companies that don't have a permanent establishment, the federal taxable income is 0. So the state taxable income will also be 0. So from a corporate tax, the state implications should be limited. Although there are some states that have state taxation on a gross receipts basis, like Washington. So if you have quite a lot of sales in Washington, for example, there might be some corporate tax implications. On the sales tax side, it's different. Sales tax, it's like VAT in Europe, but it's not totally the same as VAT. Sales tax, it applies to end consumers. So if you have distributors in the US that are reselling your products, there shouldn't be any sales tax to apply on your invoice from the Belgian or Luxembourg company, provided that they can give you the right documentation, which is typically a resale certificate. So if you have such a certificate from your distributor in the US, then there is usually no sales tax to apply. Another point to note about sales tax is that it typically applies on tangible goods, while most services are not subject to sales tax, although there are some exceptions, like some states, they also require you to collect sales tax on installation, on maintenance, and software, it's a bit in between. Some states, they say, yeah, you also need to collect sales tax on software. Others, they say it's exempt from sales tax. The other thing here to keep in mind is that the rates, it can vary a lot by the jurisdiction you're selling in, because the rate, it can depend on the state, the county, the city. So there are more than 10,000 of different rates that could apply depending on the delivery address. So if you have a lot of transactions, it might be difficult to apply manually the correct sales tax rates. There are certain software that can help you with automating to apply the correct sales tax rate on invoices. Because as I said, it's really based on the state, the county, and the city, the rate that should be applied. And the last thing might be obvious. You can only start collecting and remitting sales tax once you're registered for sales tax or corporate income tax in that specific state. So how could a state find you if you're selling directly from Belgium or Luxembourg to the US? One of the examples is, for example, in Massachusetts. The Department of Revenue in Massachusetts, they asked Amazon to disclose the information about vendors that were storing inventory at their fulfillment center. So they had to give the info about the vendors and the estimated value of the inventory. So that was a way to find out whether those companies were complying with the state tax rules. Another example how they could find you is you send an invoice to your customer in the US, and on that invoice there is no tax applied. So if the state tax authorities would do an audit at your customer and they don't see any tax applied on the invoice, that's a way how they could identify your company and look further if you're complying with the state tax regulations. And I think that was it as a short intro into the US tax system. If you have any further questions or want to discuss your specific situation, then you can definitely contact me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ben. You can stop sharing if you want. Our third topic today is doing business in the US in 2023. What do we have to keep in mind? So that's Sophie. So please join me in welcoming her. Thank you.
Hello, good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Sophie Boutelegier, originally from Belgium. I moved to Silicon Valley in 2015, and I started my business here, Expandify, where I help European businesses expand to the USA. First I'm gonna share a little story about a few years ago when I went on one of my business trips to Belgium. I was meeting with a friend. It was rainy weather like we are having today in California. We went for a drink in a very cozy bar, and the waiter asked, like, "Oh, hello, ladies. So what do you want to have? Do you want to have a Heineken, or would you like to have a real beer?" And at first it made me laugh, but then it also made me think. And I know that there's some Dutch people on the webinar today. But let's be honest, Heineken is not the best beer in the world, but yet they managed to become one of the most famous brands and most successful businesses in the world. And how they did that is a very interesting story, because already from the beginning, they were very much focused on internationalization. When they went to Asia, they went into those countries by working together with local partners. So like with setting up local alliances or acquiring some companies, and they've been very successful in Asia. But then when they looked to the United States, they realized that another approach would be necessary. Competition was ferocious. Only about 1% of the beers were from Europe. So they realized that they needed to do something different, really be very unique. So in big letters, Heineken, it already sounds exotic. And also with a green bottle, so that from far away, you could see that someone was having a Heineken beer. So a very different approach, but also in the USA, they have been very successful. And this brings me to my first tip when you are expanding to the USA is don't copy paste. Don't think that what has been working in your home country or what works when you were expanding to other regions will also work to the US. So today I'm going to share with you 10 tips when expanding to the US, not only specifically about California, but they apply also, of course. No need to take notes. I'm going to share in the chat a link where you can download my white paper. But so, as you already heard from Michael, also from Alain, there's huge opportunities in the US. America is a huge country. It is also still the biggest economy in the world. It represents over 16% of the global economy. And as you heard, if California would be a country, and I think that's an amazing figure, it would be the 5th and soon the 4th economy in the world, so overtaking Germany. It's a huge consumer market, 325 million potential customers, but also good news for people who are in the B2C business. Americans are big spenders. They stand for about 1/4 of the world's household spend. America is also home to some of the biggest corporations in the world. Think Apple, Amazon, Alphabet, etc. But also in the retail markets, they have huge companies. For example, CVS, it's a pharmacy chain. They have 10,000 locations, just to give you some idea of how big things are here in the US. And of course, if you want to conquer the biggest markets in the world, you need to be ready. You need to understand the market. You need to understand your own business. So just as if you are building a house, you want to build your business on solid rock. You have to have that strong foundation. So that is my second tip. Make sure that you are ready when you are expanding to the USA. The US is also a very diverse, but a very complex market. It is a land of opportunity, not only in size, but also because it offers so many different opportunities. The US is successful in many industries, unlike some other countries which really depend on a certain industry. But it's a very complex country, and that is often underestimated by foreign companies that come here. So don't think that the 50 states are the same. There are different demographics, big differences between regions. For example, the West Coast, California, is very different from New York, but also big differences between rich and poor, cultural differences. So make sure when you come here that you understand those differences between the states and don't treat it as one single country. The US is also very different from other parts of the world, also sometimes underestimated. We think we go to the US, we know the USA from movies, from media in general. But it is very different. There are different laws, but also there's, in general, a different way of doing business. So also make sure that you are prepared to understand the cultural way of doing business, but also the cultural difference in what people need. For example, there's also some huge companies that make mistakes here. The example of IKEA, I think, is a very typical example. When they expanded to the US a long time ago, they didn't adapt their bed furniture. So they thought, we are IKEA, we will be able to sell the European bed sizes and not adapt to the US market with the king, twin, and queen. But so, of course, Americans didn't buy those beds because their mattresses, their sheets wouldn't fit. So the IKEA had to retract or exit USA again and come back at a later stage. So my third tip is analyze the markets and anticipate market needs, but also respect and understand the cultural differences. I hope that, yes, you are aware now of the enormous opportunities that the American market is offering, but the fact that it is such a big market with so many opportunities also creates some significant challenges. First of all, it's an extremely competitive market. I always say Americans are born marketeers, they are born salespeople, but also because there are so many opportunities here, companies from all over the globe want to do business in the USA. So you will face local, but also global competition. And one of the biggest challenges as a foreign company coming to the US is creating demand for your product, creating that visibility. And often, instead of trying to be a little bit better or on par, it is very important to show unique value and really stand out of the crowd. So bring unique value, but also being a new kid on the block here, look if you can work together with local partners. They often already have a network, they understand the market, they can make introductions. So explore alliance opportunities. As the US offers so many opportunities, we often see businesses come here, they are overwhelmed by so many different options, so many things to chase, and it is easy to lose focus. So here, the US way of saying the spray and pray does not work. You have to be really focused. Where are you going to start? So my seventh tip is have a crystal clear focus. Think big, start small, and learn fast. Thinking big is really something that is very typical for the US in general, but also very typical for the Silicon Valley area. but sometimes you can be paralyzed by the big ideas. So it's important to think big, but start small, because as you start small, you will learn from your mistakes and grow further. Another characteristic of the US market is that it is really business friendly for entrepreneurs, but also for foreigners entering the US markets. Sometimes you hear Americans only want to do business with Americans. I have to say I do not agree, because I think Alain and Ben can join me in this opinion, and Michael. There are many European businesses or foreign businesses being very successful in the USA. But what is important is that Americans, they want to feel that they are doing business with a local company. For example, in terms of a quick delivery, they want to have a quick service. They want to be able to call an American phone number, have their prices in US dollars, etc. So they want to feel that proximity. So the 9 tip is close the gap. Make sure you're close to your customer and that you can deliver fast service. And then my final tip is show commitment. Show that you come to the USA for the long term, that you mean it really seriously, and that you are here to stay. Expanding to the US will probably be one of the biggest strategic decisions that you will ever make. So be sure that you are ready.
Thank you very much, Sophie. That was very interesting, and I think it will be extremely valuable for a number of persons that want to extend their business in the US. Now is our question and answer time. So you can post, questions whether in the chat or in the Q&A box. I see that there was one question from Karen that was already answered by Michael. I did have by email a few questions already. So I'm going to start with those ones. Michael, is there any incentives for foreign companies like it exists in European countries when they invest, hire people, and start their US operation in California or in Los Angeles?
Yes, there are. However, they are limited, and usually they are the same incentives and packages as a US company is able to find. So, if you're creating jobs, certainly, there are incentives there. We have what we call the California Competes tax credit. So that can be offset. That can offset some capital expenditure. It's a reimbursable credit. I don't want this to sound bad, but I think the way California does business is, if you want to come here, come here. There's an unbelievable opportunity to be innovative and successful. There's no real reason, I think, from legislature to say, okay, we should help you do that, because what we have here is already a tremendous opportunity. So I wish there was more, but I will say this: there are initiatives, there are resources, there are everywhere. As far as tax credits and grants and rebates and things, those are mostly on the state level. So my suggestion would be to start and pick your destination, where you would like to set up your operations, or even several options. And then from there, you can contact us and we can connect you with the local governments, municipality, as well as the state, leaders who can help open doors and explain other initiatives.
Thank you. Yeah, but that's a great also opportunity to remind people again that a lot of things are at the state level in the US, and so that's what we need to keep in mind. We have said that several times during the webinar, but that's, I think, very important to understand. Then I had a question for you also. What's the tax checklist to care about when opening a US branch for foreign companies?
So what we typically say is, where do you incorporate? Because depending on the state, there might be tax implications. Who is going to be the shareholder of the US company? Because there might also be tax implications. And then the other one, what are going to be the intercompany transactions between the US company and the foreign company? Because there might be some limits in terms of tax deductibility. That's typically what we look at.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. And I had also another for Sophie. What's the most important thing to get in a pitch when talking with US investors?
I have to say, one most important thing is showing the opportunity. It's showing the opportunity, and of course, how are you going to get there? But showing what's possible with your product and how you are unique, and how are you going to convince customers to choose for you instead of if there is competition.
Yeah, very good point. Okay, so if there is no more question, whether in the box, the Q&A box, or in the chat, I think we are gonna, close the session. Just as a reminder, our next webinar, as well as our next Mixer event in person here, will be in January, and we'll be participating at the CS in Vegas with events from January 5th to January 8th. And of course, you will receive the replay link by email with the coordinates of the speakers today. Everything will be in all packaged in an email, and you can also follow us on social networks. So thank you very much for Michael, Sophie, and Ben to share their knowledge, and thank you all for listening and participating, and hope to see you soon in another events. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.